Okay, guys, any suggestions on how we can challenge the players for the Manufacturers Cup this time? Yes, let's do a Nurburgring 24-hour, but pouring fucking rain. Really bad, really wet. Okay, that sounds good, but only for the first half of the race. And for the second half, we'll just make it pitch-ass black. Completely dark out. Oh, yes, sounds very good. Mini crash, like it. Yes, good, very good. So as you can see here, during qualifying, it was an absolute cluster. This is the final lap of qualifying, so everybody is just trying to survive around the track and get the best time they possibly can to get a decent starting position. Okay, Nurburgring 24-hour starting in P5. Let's see how T1 goes. It's probably not going to go great because it never does, and now it's really wet. Okay, got a little tap there, and looks like the Lamborghini that started behind me is now in front of me. The Genesis that started in front of me is now behind me, but everybody seems to have made it through okay. When I say pouring rain, I really mean it. Listen to the massive raindrops hitting the windshield down the straight here. Through bit curve here, it looks like my DRS activated or something. I don't know what happened to my traction, but a little spin, and now I am in dead last. Great. So qualifying P5 didn't mean anything at all. It's totally fine though, because just 2 minutes later I am catching back up to everyone in the back. I'm sure there will be many more incidents and opportunities for passing, so we continue on. And there we go, to P14 already. Let's see if we can do a last to first challenge here in the Gran Turismo World Series. Right here, the Evo overshoots the corner, so I will nip underneath and take another position. Up to P13 now. like 2 players have run wide through that turn. Let's see if I can get through while he's ghosted. Roll oversteer. He popped back in, kind of nudged me onto the grass, but make it through, and I'll take a 2-for-1 pass all day long. I managed to get stuck behind this Viper for like over a minute, and I finally thought I could attempt to get around him, but I ended up tapping him, so I backed off, lost a position to the Genesis. Now here comes the Evo, tight through here, side by side. That looks like someone's off into the sand on the right there, so I managed to gain a position anyway. And then through the mini carousel, the Supra pushes his way through here. Evo follows suit. Really thrilled with that, but it's very wet, so there's a lot of bumping and sliding and tapping like that. And so the Evo manages to nip his way under the Supra, and I gave the Supra a little nudge on the way back. Viper still has his hazards on, and everybody's slipping and sliding and bumping. But we're finally out onto the straight, where the Evo will serve his penalty, and I will drive through. And I am up into P10. After all that, on the first lap, that is not too bad. Okay, first chicane lap 2. Go for a little gap here that's not quite there, so I get a little bit of a pinch, but I managed to make it through okay. And with the other McLaren here, we are going to go around the Genesis, maybe. That Genesis really likes to, I noticed he was braking late for almost every corner. We got a little tap there from the other McLaren, so he got up alongside me again. But as you'll see coming towards the hairpin here, he just gets on the brakes really, really early and taps the back of him, starts a chain reaction. The McLaren goes past, taps him, the Supra taps me, taps the McLaren, he's a little sideways, and there goes the Evo again. It's absolute chaos, but made it through marginally unscathed, so let's keep going. Try to move to this little gap here, but he cuts a little bit tight and we collide. And then there's a Porsche coming back on from the grass there, so that's up 2 positions already. Driving away from the sun, probably the last time we'll ever see it. Chicane, nice and tidy. Getting out under the Nordschleife in P8. Oh, there's a Porsche off there, so up to P7 already. That's pretty good. wiggle on the exit of flood flats there, which gives just enough room for the Evo to sneak by and put me back down to P8. To Arenberg, though. Let's see what happens. Sometimes people get this wrong. It looks like the Lambo tapped somebody and ended up off in the sand. He has a 4-second penalty, but I managed to claim P7. Has a little wiggle coming out of Adnar Forest, which allows me to get alongside him, but don't quite have the momentum to make the pass stick. So we got side-by-side racing here with the Evo towards Metzgefeld. I'm just going to let him go through. I don't want to go side-by-side too many more turns. You can just barely see the super clips the barrier there, entering miss hit miss. Managed to sneak past him. We are up into the esteemed P6 for the time being. Here the Evo misses his turn-in point for the right-hander uphill. So we get to slip right past him, and now I am back up into P5. Just ahead, the Porsche missed his braking point and managed to understeer in the turn, so I slipped past him into P4 just as we head towards the carousel for the second lap of the race, which I managed to get a little bit wrong. I slid out, but as I drop back down in there, I get a little tap from the Porsche. It's right on my bumper now. Probably wants that position back, but I'm not too worried about it. This is my favorite part of the track, and with the drying line, I will hopefully be able to use the clean air ahead to catch up with the top 3 drivers in the field and pull away from the other group finally. Seeing P3 off into the grass there, I know he's going to have dirty tires for these next 3 corners. Let's see if I can manage to make something happen here. Pretty close there. Looks like he's going a little wide. The mini carousel, I managed to kind of sneak up underneath him, but I'm not trying to push him off the track, so just give him a little bit of space. As we come down to the Dottinger, I will, instead of passing him, I'll just opt to do a little bump drafting. at the end of the second lap here, the Porsche decides to stay out one more go around on his intermediate tires, while the rest of us in the top 4 decide to come in for the racing hards. Looks like another Porsche driver has gone through, so there are 2 Porsches out on intermediates. Come out of the pit just as I'm being passed by the Lamborghini P6 of the pit. Both me and the Supra have really missed the braking point there, as when you come out of the pit on the racing hards, the track is still very wet and there's really no way to get over to the dry racing line without cutting across the pit exit lane and getting yourself a penalty. See here the former race leader, who is currently in P4 ahead of me and the Supra there, as the 3-second penalty for cutting the pit lane exit. Now the driver of the Hyundai run a little wide through the corner. He's still on the wet part of the track, so let's squeeze around the outside on the dry line. He gives me the space. Very clean racing from the Brazilian. I love to see it. All 3 of us make it through the chicane, nice and clean, no issues. Out onto the Nordschleife for the 3rd lap. As you can see, the curbs are still very wet. And if you hit them at the wrong angle, they will send you off to the grass with a meeting for Barry R. But fortunately, I managed to survive that pretty well. And the Hyundai got right back by me there, but did not impede his race at all. So we are still good to go. Oh, looks like the Supra got it a little wrong throughout an hour forced, allowing the Hyundai and myself to get through. But a quick recovery as he's back on track again already. This is not the last we will see of Mr. Quicken Loans in the Supra. Oh, there's the Lamborghini struggling again. It's back on track. The Hyundai manages to slip just around the outside. Can we make anything else happen here? No, unfortunately not. He's a bit heavy on the brakes there. He's got dirty tires. I wasn't anticipating that. Let's tap him. Be polite, let him back through, and try and get past him another time. here. I guess he still has dirty tires a little deep into that corner, so we get past nice and clean and continue chasing down the Hyundai with the 3-second penalty. Oh, gets up on the curb a little bit and launches it, unsettles the car, which gives me just enough room to sneak past it. We're up into P3, heading into the carousel, and hopefully a nice clean drive ahead of us. Coming up to the end of lap 3, we'll see the two Porsches that were ahead come in on their intermediate tires and change over to the hards finally. That will put me into P1, first to last challenge completed. See P2 in the background there, about 7 seconds behind. Skipping ahead to the end of lap 4, as I pretty much drove that all on my own. We'll see that P2 here has managed to close up the gap to just about 2 seconds. We've got an entire lap to go. Am I going to be able to defend P1 for this whole lap? Let's find out. I've managed to keep the Supra behind me for the entire first half of this lap, despite his best efforts to keep the pressure on. And what a great race it's been, but as we come onto the little back stretch here, I know that my top speed is no match for the Supra, so I'm going to give him the room to squeeze by. And my plan is to now put the pressure on him for the second half of the lap, and hopefully I will be able to draft past him in the final straight. However, I carry a little too much speed through butt curve there and onto the grass, so he starts to pull away. But luckily I do manage to reel him back in the braking zone. Unfortunately, I missed the braking zone there, had to take avoiding action, and that allowed him to put a sizable gap between us and pull away, sealing my fate for this race. Moving on to the very end, I just did not have the pace to catch up to him and get within draft range on the back straight, so it's going to be a P2 finish for me, which after ending up in dead last on the first lap, I would say is still a really great result. But ultimately, what a fantastic race and a great battle with Quicken Loans. Congrats again on the victory.
PlayStation